Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Lifetime Legacy Lawyer podcast. I'm Thomas Vick, joined by Seth Wilson. Seth, how's it going today?
Spring weather.
That's right. 60 degrees and sunny is very, very much appreciated these days. Today, for the podcast, we kind of wanted to talk about some of the tools that we're using in our practice, and one tool that I just recently added to my practice was Clio Duo, which is the law practice management Clio's version of artificial intelligence AI. And I found it to be a really helpful tool for me. It has helped me to be a lot more efficient with some of the common tasks that I have to do on a daily basis. And I thought that would be a good topic for us to delve into today. So, what are your thoughts on artificial intelligence in law practice management, Seth?
What a great question. I mean, as you know, I've given several CLE presentations for different audiences this year already on the topic of artificial intelligence in the practice of law. And it's just continuing to really astound me of what the capabilities are. And I think early on, my thought had always been, hey, if you could take a AI tool and connect it to your data set, this would be really powerful because now it's sort of looking at your calendar and your contacts and your cases and helping you determine, hey, this is something I need to work on, or this is a way to take all of this information and really make sense of and organize it in a quick and efficient manner. And so I think, and you can sort of tell us what your initial thoughts are anyway, that was sort of the idea behind Clio Duo, and that it is a part of the system that you already have, that law practice management system, and it contains or has access to the data that's in that system. So what has been maybe your top revelation or surprise with what the AI has surfaced for you?
There are several, but I think that the top revelation for me is how much more quickly I can assign tasks, either to myself or to my team members. And it's a little bit hard because we don't have the screen pulled up, and I'm certainly not going to share my own screen of my law practice management software on a podcast. But within Clio, previously, before I got Clio Duo, you would have to click a couple places before you could actually get to the screen to assign a task. And what I've learned through Clio Duo is that you can go to the tab, the button for Clio Duo, and you can, just speak into Clio Duo with the Windows button plus H. I learned that trick from Clio. Clio told me that. Windows plus H, and then I basically dictate the assigned task, and then it will automatically create that task and bring it up for me to review. And uh, a lot of times it's able to successfully put down, the due date that I stated and the matter that is to be associated with it and a good description of what I had put into the Clio Duo. And it just pops there, and just have to review it instead of going to a couple different places and then entering it and then clicking OK. So that has been a huge time saver to me. And you just think, that probably only saves maybe 5 to 10 seconds. But how many tasks are attorneys assigning throughout the day? I mean, I, I should probably keep track of that at some point to know, but it's dozens, I would say. And so you're able to save a ton of time cumulatively through that Clio Duo capability.
Yeah, and this is fascinating to think about. I love all these productivity tools and the fastest way to do X, Y, or Z on your computer. And oftentimes, the systems that we have access to require too many keystrokes or too many steps really to just make it efficient. And so the tendency is, well, I'll just write it down, or I'll dictate it and have a staff member put it in for me, or what have you. And so the advent of these tools, I think that observation is so important because it now facilitates more of a natural interaction with the computer where you can just kind of have a conversation, right? The chat part of GPT with the computer, and it gets most of it pretty close to what I was hoping it would do. And that's one of the unnerving things about sort of the transcription capabilities of generative AI is you may say something and it gives you something back that it thought you said or thought you wanted to say. It's not always a verbatim response. You can tell it to give you a verbatim response, but that capability goes, oh, I didn't even really think about that, but that's a good point, or I should have added that in. And like you say, just being able to take some of that context in a natural conversation and say, okay, I want to assign this particular item on this particular case to this particular person, and I need it back by this particular time. And I think it should take about this amount of time. You've handled 6 or 7 variables within one 10-second or 13-second or whatever conversation, and then the computer starts parsing out that information for you by use of this AI technology.
Yeah, the conversation that you're able to have between yourself and the AI is amazing, and the communication that AI is really able to facilitate, not just between you and the computer or you and your staff, but one tool that I've been, kind of playing around with is the communication that the AI will provide to you for client interaction. And, you know, within Clio, you've got the capability of doing text messaging with the client, and you have the capability of, you know, messaging within a client portal. And I know within that client portal, and maybe for text messaging as well, you're able to get some kind of suggested response from Clio Duo. So if the client says, okay, I'm going to look into this document and I'll have it to you by Friday, and the AI will suggest a response of like, thank you for looking into that document for me. I'll expect to have it on Friday. Something to that effect that confirms the plan that you had made with the client. And does it take all that much time again to write that down? No, but it does it quicker with AI. And it has some manners to it. It's got, it's kind of polite to the client, maybe more polite than I am. And so that's been helpful because that can save a few seconds during each interaction. So I found that pretty helpful too.
Yeah, and the other side of that is as the technology continues to develop, you'll start seeing, hey, you told somebody that you would get them this by tomorrow. It's tomorrow. You haven't gotten them that. So here's a reminder to make sure that you did that. Oh yeah, I forgot that. Much like you'll see if you attach or fail to attach an attachment to an email where the system will go, hey, you mentioned the word attachment or please find attached. You didn't attach anything. Did you want to do that? And so some of these tools that are sort of permeating our day to day, autocomplete, those suggestions and those kind of things are starting to get to the point where it's really a fun time to be practicing. And as long as you understand, again, sort of the data security implications and the confidentiality obligations and are navigating those appropriately, this can be a really effective way to interact with just the volume of information that we as lawyers handle on behalf of our clients. Try to make sense of it all. Try to make sure that we're staying ahead of the game and not falling behind on cases, and this is really a great tool to give us those quick insights that then we can dig in a little bit further. I always say trust but verify. The AI gave you something. The principle sounds correct, but you want to make sure you understand where the source of that information came from. And especially if it's a case citation or a statute citation, for example, you want to make sure that that is actually correct.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've done enough playing around with AI that I have seen that the statutory citations are not always correct. So you definitely do have to double check on that, and that's part of your due diligence as an attorney, is to make sure that the references that are provided are real and accurate and are supportive of whatever point you're trying to make. Um, another thing that I love about Clio Duo is that you're able to have priority matters that are on your main dashboard. And right now I have mine set for 11 matters. So 11 matters automatically pop up on my home screen, so to speak, on my dashboard. And those are the matters that Clio Duo thinks I need to work on this week. And it's usually determined by, what tasks need to be completed and what calendar events are coming up so that I'm prepared for those. And I think it's kind of like goal setting, right? If you have it right in front of you, you're more likely to, actually work on it. You have a goal of running a 4-minute mile, you write it down and you post it. Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything, but then that's your goal and that's what you're going to be working for. And it's the same way with a workday. You've got your plan of action that is suggested to you by Clio Duo. It's somewhat, you got to double check it and make sure that those are really your priorities. But yeah, I think that's a tremendous tool that has made me more productive in the workday, along with the other tools that the AI has.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I bumped my microphone right in the middle of your
I thought you sneezed.
So as we're talking through the capabilities here, it will be really fascinating, I think, to watch how this develops. And I've been practicing for enough time now to kind of remember when cloud computing was the discussion. And boy, do we need on-premise things versus on the cloud, and what is this cloud? And nobody talks about that anymore because the cloud is just now there and everybody's using it. And so it's a really fascinating time to be alive, and we'll see how this progresses. How does the AI revolution, so to speak, impact us in our day-to-day practices, and how can we do it in a safe and ethical manner on behalf of our clients and leverage the tools that are available? And I think where I'm seeing some real opportunities is sort of in the document automation space, where you can say, boy, I've got a lot of work that I've done over the years that I can utilize as a reference tool, as almost its own, large language model, and pre-fill out my next set of documents based on my best work of what I've done before, and take and leverage that knowledge base for the benefit of my clients moving forward. And so I think that's going to be really interesting to see how you can say, well, in every case that I did that was a, civil litigation matter, I always set out the complaint and a summons and a set of discovery and those kind of things. And the AI should be able to go in and start pre-drafting some of that for you in the future, which is pretty amazing to think about. Being contextually aware of your calendar and knowing, hey, you have an important meeting today, or you have a deadline coming up. Have you prepared everything associated with it? This is what you usually do. Do you want all this? Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is amazing stuff. And yeah, document drafting certainly can be really helpful too when it comes to AI. I mean, some simple requests like, draft a follow up letter to a prospective client about a discussion, and you kind of put in some points about what you had recommended to the client. Of course, doing so within the house of Clio, so you're not, you know, uh, compromising any attorney-client information. But generating that document, which I do estate planning, and estate planning, a lot of the same recommendations are for each client, for a revocable trust. So I can say, draft an engagement letter or a prospective client letter recommending these particular estate planning steps and some reasons why it would be best for their family, and take that and then uh, tweak it a little bit and then send it off to the client. And a letter like that might take 20 minutes for me to draft, but I might have it in 5 or less. And so the efficiency that we're able to use is just really remarkable.
Yeah, and it's kind of the dream that it has always been of these computers that actually help us get things done, because the computer can remember everything that we ever gave it, where our brains can't retain all of that. We can kind of get reminded of, and oh yeah, we did this before, or I did this in another case or another situation. But the computers have all that information, and so being able to say, well, yeah, you almost always utilize these 3 things. Excuse me. And do you want to do that again?
Yeah, yeah, very, very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. And I'm sure that we're going to have more and more discussions about AI as we continue to uh, work with it in our own practices, and see what works and what doesn't work, and what improvements there are to the AI in the future. But I agree, it is a great time to be an attorney. I think I boast sometimes about my my timing in the legal profession. I didn't have to write my bar exam by hand. I was able to type it out. I there were I think there was maybe a year or two where I had to paper file at the courthouse, but then e-filing came along in Indiana in 2015 and 2016, so I didn't really ever have to do that much. And now I've got AI. It's a great time to be an attorney.
Yeah, and that's kind of the reason for this podcast in a lot of ways, in terms of what we're focusing on now is really helping lawyers who are considering launching their own practice really take a comprehensive look at what that looks like, and the availability of these tools. And other lawyers who have gone before now have sort of that pathway paved, and you're looking at the capabilities that are there and the resources that are now available that maybe weren't available before, and different things like just think about Zoom and Microsoft Teams and the video conferencing capabilities that used to require a massive system in order to work, and now you have it in the palm of your hand with Google Meet or FaceTime or Zoom or Teams. And so that really gives you that opportunity to extend out the capabilities and leverage that in a much easier way than it used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think that will do it for this episode of the Lifetime Legacy Lawyer podcast. We're a podcast that is all about helping attorneys with law office management and how to start your own practice and how to run a solo practice, a small firm, that kind of thing. That's what we're all about. And we want to be a resource to folks. So feel free to reach out. And Seth, what would be the best way for people to reach out to you?
So if you want to get a hold of me, feel free to visit our attorney's law firm website of adlerattorneys.com. And we have a contact us button there that can get you in touch with us. If you're looking for more resources on the podcast, we're on YouTube under the handle at Lifetime Legacy Lawyers. And we also have that domain as well, lifetimelegacylawyers.com. Thomas, how about you?
The best way to reach me is by going to viclaw.org and message me through the website. I'd be glad to talk with fellow attorneys about how to start a practice or how to manage a law firm. All those things are really enjoyable to me. And yeah, that would be the place to reach me. And of course, go to the Lifetime Legacy Lawyer sites and take advantage of all the resources that you have on those as well.
Very good. Well, Thomas, thanks for the time today. We'll look forward to seeing everybody on the next one.
All right. Thank you, Seth.